It's possible that when working with your data, you may need to multiply or divide each of your scores by a constant. For example, let's imagine that you've done a survey or you've administered a quiz to some students, and you've told them that for every right answer, you're going to give them $5. So the first person has got 2 questions answered correctly, and so they're going to get $10. What you've done is you multiplied this by 5, and I'm going to multiply each one of them by 5 in order to get 5x, 5 times my original score. So that'll give me 15, 7 times 5 is going to give me 35, and so on. 8 times 5 will give me 40, 10 times 5 will give me 50. Now let's also imagine that originally, once we had tallied up the correct number of, or the correct answers on their quiz, let's say that we had worked out what the mean is. So my mean, my sample mean, originally, so the old sample mean, would have just been equals to the sum of x before we multiplied anything by 5 over n. And so that comes out to be, let's see, 2 plus 3 gives me 5, plus 7 is 12, plus 8 is 20, plus 10 gives me 30. So I have 30 over 5, and so I've got a sample mean of 6. Now if I want to, if I'm trying to find my new sample mean, once I've multiplied everything by a constant, I could go through the same process again. But the problem with doing something like that is that very often your data sets are large, and you don't want to have to go through and do all of the number crunching again. There's a much faster way to do this. All that you have to do is take your original sample mean and then multiply it by the same constant. So my new mean is going to be equals to 5 times my old mean. So it's just going to be 5 times, it's just going to be 5 times 6. It will be 30. Does that work out? Let's have a look and see what happens if we do it the long way. Now, I was saying we can avoid this, but I'm just doing it here to check this out, to check out our answer. If I wanted to find my new mean, I would do that by summing up x and dividing that by n. So I need the sum of this new column. So 10 plus 15 gives me 25, plus 35, that brings me up to 60. Now I'm up to 100, 150. So I'm looking at 150 over n. n is still 5. We still have 5 scores. And so 150 divided by 5, yep, that's 30. So the idea is, let me put this in a different color. If your scores are either multiplied or divided, and this is important, has to be by a constant. You can't multiply each one by a different number. So if your scores are multiplied or divided by a constant, the mean doesn't have to be the sample mean. It could be population. So I'll just say the mean in general. The mean is also multiplied, which is what we did here, would have been the same if we had done divided, by the same constant. So that's what happens when you multiply or divide your original scores to get a new set of scores. You don't have to go through and do all the math again. You can simply just perform the same process, just do 5 times the mean to get your new mean.